Hello, and thank you for visiting my virtual gallery, Shades of Yosemite. My name is George Weitenhofer, and I'm the photographer who captured the images you're about to see. My goal as a photographer is to capture nature's beauty. Rocks, trees, and water is primarily what you'll see on my website at gwphotographs.com. Nature, as we know it, is in constant change. Over many years, or in a blink of an eye, what you see in the natural world can change. I don't pretend to be an expert on why the change is happening. That's up to others. My goal is simply to capture the scenery nature provides and at a specific point in time before any more change occurs. I follow a photographer, Mr. Nobu Kobayashi, as he shares a similar philosophy as I. Nobu says that in Japan, the myriad of gods dwell in all things. If that's true, then Yosemite is nature's heaven. As Nobu explains, the word God is not a religious comment, but more of a personal feeling one. Nobu got me thinking about the fleeting existence of the natural world and the need to photograph it for future generations. In Japan, their thinking is not in years or decades, but in generations. My images are captured with a Fujifilm digital camera. This brings the beauty of the natural world down to a series of pixels. Hardly something that can be touched, or felt, or truly understood for many generations. To preserve the natural environment, I print these beautiful images for all to see. Today's inkjet prints will only last a few decades. My quest was to find the longest lasting paper and an archival printing method so that these prints can live on for many generations, just as my friend Mr. Kobayashi does. Paper. I searched the world over to find the longest lasting paper to print on. That quest led me to a village in Japan that's been making paper the same way for over 900 years. No chemicals are used to bleach or alter the paper. In fact, the paper made in Ekishin village by a living national treasure, Mr. Ikebai Owano IX, has only 3 ingredients: mulberry bush pulp, starch from a plant, and stream-fed pH-balanced water. It is with Mr. Owano's paper that I used for my Shades of Yosemite prints. Printing method. After searching throughout the world, I found specialized carbon-based inks for prints that have been tested to last hundreds of years. It is with carbon-based inks created by Cone Editions Press that I had printed the Shades of Yosemite series. Carbon-based inks can enhance the image based on warm and cool shades of the black ink. To provide longest lasting value, the Shades of Yosemite will be limited to just 12 prints each. And if you buy one of my Shades of Yosemite carbon-based ink prints, I'll have planted in your name 5 trees by the National Forest Foundation for each print purchased. First up is Bridalveil Fall. As you look toward the top of Bridalveil Fall, keep in mind that the Bridalveil Creek, which feeds the falls, and the Merced River once ran at the same level. Over the years, the Merced has roared down the face of the Sierra Nevada. In contrast, Bridalveil Creek has flowed over its flatter rock surfaces much more slowly. Bridalveil Creek was simply unable to keep pace with the cutting action of the Merced River. How do we know how much has changed? Bridalveil Fall now plunges 620 feet to the Merced River below. Next is Cascades at Yosemite. Although many of today's landforms at Yosemite exist because of glacial action, some surely did not. Many of the park's cascades exist due to falling rocks. Rock falls have been the major force of change in Yosemite Valley. 2 miles west of Yosemite Valley, the Cascades at Yosemite descend over 600 feet, starting near Big Oak Flat Road and finishes above Highway 140. From the parking area, you can climb up the falls or descend below for various views. The image shown here is at water level from beneath the bridge looking down the Cascades towards Highway 140. Next is El Capitan from Cathedral Beach. El Capitan was shaped by the draining of the high Sierras into the Merced River over 15,000 years ago. In 2009, El Capitan dropped 122,000 tons of rock from Oahe Point. The official cause is unknown, but the differing temperatures may have contributed to the fall. On September 27, 2017, nearly 30,000 tons of granite, the height of 12 stories, fell 1,800 feet to the valley floor. Next is El Capitan from Merced River. The bend of the Merced River shows the flowing water during the winter month of February. This same location looks remarkably different during the spring, when many of the features shown here are underwater. The Merced River begins in the Sierra Nevada mountains and flows throughout the park, past granite rocks and trees. Over time, the river is doomed to be filled with sediment and eventually become a meadow. Yosemite itself once contained a lake. Reflections at Stoneman Bridge is a photo where looking down to the Merced River became a logical process. Out of the view of the camera lens is Half Dome, which is visible above the bridge. Stoneman Bridge was built in 1933 and spans 72 feet above the Merced River. I instantly wanted the reflections of not only the bridge itself, but also the rock formation above the pine trees to the left. To take this image, the water needed to be perfectly still, so I used an ND filter to slow the shutter and make the water like glass to enhance the reflections. Next is the Merced River at Yosemite Valley. The Merced River possesses a remarkable scenic, recreational, fish, wildlife, geological, and ecological value to the region. It remains one of the few undammed whitewater rivers in California. The river supports native wild trout and the only known population of the limestone salamander. However, there were plans to build a dam near El Portal, and, more recently, a new dam to allow for reservoir expansion. Either of these dams would alter the current river and change Yosemite forever. Next is Half Dome from Merced River. Half Dome rises more than 5,000 feet above the valley floor and is one of Yosemite's most familiar sights. Much like El Capitan, the 1,000-foot granite face of Half Dome is ever-changing. Most recently, in 2015, a relatively thin sheet of rock peeled off the vertical face of Half Dome measuring 100 by 200 feet. In 1988, Half Dome was featured on a 25-cent U.S. postage stamp, and in 2005, the dome appeared on the California State Quarter. Next is Three Brothers from Merced River. The Three Brothers is a rock formation east of El Cap and consists of Eagle Peak, Middle, and Lower Brothers. At an elevation of 7,783 feet, Three Brothers Peaks was a favorite among the famous naturalist John Muir. He considered the view from the top of Eagle Peak to be the most beautiful view available of Yosemite Valley. This image of Three Brothers was taken from the sands at Cathedral Beach. Tunnel view of Yosemite Valley was taken, at Tunnel View, just outside the Wawona Tunnel on State Highway 41. The Tunnel View Scenic Overlook is a registered historic site and where I was standing for this shot. No hiking required for this one. Tunnel View is considered the view that Ansel Adams made famous. It's a must stop for anyone visiting Yosemite Valley. No set hours and no admission fee. I did some night photography at this same location at 3 a.m. local time. Next up, weathered tree at Yosemite West. Upon entering Yosemite National Park, you notice patches of discolored trees and otherwise green forests. These parched, brown, dead, and dying trees are of an ongoing drought, warming temperatures, native bark beetles, and poor forest health. What's more, all this dead foliage is highly flammable. The weathered tree in this image is a survivor of the Ferguson fire of 2018. Perched high on a large granite rock, this tree is only yards away from where a firefighter lost his life during the Ferguson fire. Next up, Yosemite Upper and Lower Falls. Yosemite Falls is the premier falls in the park and is fed by Yosemite Creek. The falls is one of the world's tallest waterfalls and is made up of 3 sections. Upper at 1,430 feet, middle at 675, and the lower at 320 feet. I chose to capture this image from Cook's Meadow. The advantage is both upper and lower waterfalls can be seen and also show the surrounding granite rocks. The huge rock formations is just as impressive as the waterfalls itself. Views like this image could have been seen by explorers like James Mason Hutchings or John Muir. Views that inspired the protection of the park in the late 1800s. Restoration projects by the park's service prevent unnatural growth vegetation, encroachment in open areas to retain the historic views for which Yosemite is known. Yosemite scientists aim to restore the park's historic scenic vistas using sound cultural and ecological practices and processes. And the final image, Yosemite Valley from Merced River. Yosemite National Park is an ever-changing environment where weather can vary by the minute. Temperatures at the 4,000-foot Yosemite Valley can rise to more than 100 degrees in the summer, with lows in the 20s, and nearly 30 inches of snowfall on average in the winter. Lightning, common in the summer, is an essential element in the Sierra Nevada fire-dependent environment. Since 1972, lightning ignited 1,800 fires in Yosemite. A third of those were managed by the park staff themselves. Overall, the changing weather only adds to the enjoyment of Yosemite, luring visitors during all 4 seasons. The subject matter in Shades of Yosemite is clearly nature's masterpiece. Using the best paper available anywhere in the world and long-lasting carbon-based inks, I hope you appreciate the pieces of art as much as I have enjoyed creating them. If you would like to purchase any of these pieces of art, you can email me at george@gwphotographs.com with your contact info and best time to call. I'll respond promptly to review your needs and wants. Or you can visit my website at gwphotographs.com for more information. Thank you for taking this virtual tour with me. I hope you liked it.